Hey, I'm Matt Hudgens, and he's Dave Mulvaney, and this is Profitability MD. Dave, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, Matt. How are you?
Well, we're starting to get a little bit of coolness here in Atlanta.
I'm in a sweater.
You got a sweater on in Florida. That's a rarity. It's got to be a rarity. It must be below 60 or something down there.
It is right now. It'll get mid-60s today, but in the 40s this morning.
That's ridiculous. All right, episode 153, using SWOT analysis to grow your business. And so we were talking a little offline. So what is SWOT and a little twist on it, and other ways that you can use SWOT analysis, SWOT, and kind of a couple twists on it. So I'll start the first part that says, SWOT analysis, that's an acronym, stands for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So the idea going, we've learned this back in business school, right? Which would be, you take a look at your business or yourself, or you can apply it to anything. That's the other thing we're talking
really,
about. Yeah. But let's say you're looking at your business or your own personal career, right? What are your strengths? What do you do really well? What's working for you? What are your weaknesses? What aren't working for you? What could you improve or overcome? And then threats could be threats to your company, right? Who's your competition and what are they doing? And the opportunities would be, what should I be doing to help grow my business, right?
And one of the things that I've seen done, which you kind of alluded to already, where if you divide it in half, you got strengths and opportunities on one side, weaknesses and threats on the other side. And so you could say on the left side is what's working, on the right side is what's not, or what's helpful or what's harmful, and you can divide them that way. I think there was something that long ago in sales that was called the Ben Franklin close, and that's what you did, is you put the positives on one side and the negatives on the other side. Of course, if you were doing it in front of a customer, you'd have 15 positives on the left side and then 2 negatives on the right side. However, the reality is to this is what you're looking for is when you're using this to grow your business, you've come up to an obstacle, and perhaps it's the end of the year now, and you're looking at the last year. So this might be a really good time to look at SWOT analysis of the last 11 months and say, okay, what was the best things we were doing? Strengths, opportunities. What are the things that we can look forward to over the coming months? What did we really screw up on? What were the weaknesses? Where were the areas where we just didn't meet expectations with our clients, with our employees, with our bankers, all the different things, investors, all of those things. Where were we weak? And one of the biggest threats to our business in the next year, in 2020, nobody could have predicted going into 2020 that COVID was going to be a threat to their business. So perhaps you say, okay, what are threats? Well, now we have to consider, it's funny, for years on the insurance policy, it actually has always had the word pandemic in there. And, as one of the exclusions. And it's like, nobody ever thought anything of it.
Sure.
But it's there. Well, why is it there? Because insurance companies think ahead. They look at threats, right? They look at threats. And a pandemic is certainly a threat.
That's pretty good. So, and what brought this up too, I was reading this earlier this week, CocaCola stock, Coca-Cola company, Coca-Cola beverages, and how they had used SWOT analysis in some of their decisions, and they use it repeatedly. And one of the ones was talking about, I think this might have been back in 2015, 14, I get the years, but Coca-Cola, it's Coke, right? It's Coke and it's Diet Coke and Sprite and those kind of sugary carbonated beverages. And they were doing a SWOT analysis and their threats or their weaknesses, right? What wasn't working was they didn't have any of the healthy waters, right? They didn't have healthy waters, the waters that have, I got Propel in here, right? They didn't have any of that stuff. So that was, and they bought one of those companies. They didn't have the fruity vegetables. I think that's what they used to buy Snapple. I think Coca-Cola bought Snapple. I think it was Coke.
At the time, Snapple, when they bought Snapple, it was just such an alternate beverage. It was a tea, but it had lots of sugar, which Coke's in the addiction business. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And they like drinks with sugar in it. And so Snapple was a really good fit in their business model. And Snapple was killing it in the alternate beverage market at the time. So
they used SWOT analysis to identify some of the alternate beverages they didn't have. Because one of the strengths that Coca-Cola has is the distribution network. If we can take another drink and sell it to all our distributors, right? We take Snapple, that's just pretty regional type business. We put it in our distribution network, and now we're selling 10 times more Snapple just because of our distribution, our strength, right? So it's a really neat article how Coca-Cola will use SWOT analysis to analyze, what are their weaknesses and how do they take advantage of that. So a little twist on that was talking about, and we talked about this before, so strengths, instead of overcoming your weakness, spend more time on your strengths, right? So the idea is whatever your strengths are, whatever you're doing well, spend 90% of your time on those strengths. Whatever you're good at, that's what you should be good at. And you and I talk about this when we coach business owners, right? Their strength might be in sales, and now all of a sudden they're stuck in the office, right? They're doing some administrative tasks. No, that's your weakness. So here's the second part. The weakness are things that we should be delegating or hiring out, right? That if you grew your business because you're a great sales guy, don't stop being a great sales guy. That's your strength, right? So spend 90% of your time doing your sales, and we can hire a human resource person or a controller or outsource this to Insperity or one of these outsource HR companies for the smaller. So the twist on it comes.
No, go ahead.
Your time. I was going to say, the twist is instead of just, hey, let's just do a SWOT, and more like, let's focus on it. So the strengths, I want to do 90% of my time doing that. The weaknesses, I want to hire out or outsource or delegate. And then the last would be like your last two, the threats. We're looking at our threats and use those as, what are the risks, but also can those turn into opportunities? If I'm bad at customer service, you mentioned that earlier, well, maybe I could turn customer service into, that's an opportunity for me to improve my business and keep people sticking around and get them to have, more share of the wallet. And then the opportunities, you then prioritize the opportunities last and say, out of these opportunities, which one will help my business the most in 2022?
Yeah, no, let's say you're great at sales. I'm just going to use an example, but you're really bad at follow-up. Which on my Colby is a way to get tested of how you work. Great tool to know about yourself, but I'm really bad on follow-up. Well, so knowing my strengths would be in sales and vision and clarity. My weakness being in follow-up. This is where you can look at saying, okay, that's a weakness. Now I'm not going to work on that weakness. As Homer Simpson said, excuse me for having tremendous flaws that I never work on. But in a similar way, the point there would be, okay, how can I get an assistant to make me more effective in my follow-up? Why? Because if I don't, the threat is that my customers will go to my competitors. There's other threats that, I'll let some of the best deals fall through my hands. So you look at this as a way of saying, okay, how can I make this thing better by looking at that weakness in your, whatever it is, and then, what steps can I take to turn that into a strength without me doing it? Because you don't really want to focus on your own weaknesses so that you just have pretty good weaknesses. You want to. That's what an employer does. You fill in the spots where you're weak. That's what an entrepreneur does. You focus on your strengths and where you're weak, fill it in. Let someone else do it, delegate it, like you just said. And then there's ways to rate your day. We've talked about that many times, but.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because I really think this is a great, end of the year type task to do and do the SWOT analysis. But I think that's one of the weaknesses of business owners is that they fall out of their strengths, that they fall into their weaknesses. Hey, I got to work on my weakness, or I don't want to be in sales anymore. I'm too old to be in sales. Well, it just might be your God-given talent, that you're really good with people, right? That you're really good with building relationships. And you need to keep doing that, right? And that's most of our business owners have a really good skill, right? They're either really good people, like really good salespeople, or they're technical skills, right? They're really good dentists, they're really good engineer, right? So that person might be, I'm a really good dentist, I need help marketing, right? I need help closing. I need to have help getting more patients in the door, more butts in seats, right? Then you would say, well, how do we? Well, you could also say, well, there are doctors, dentists, I'm just using them as an example again, maybe don't have the best bedside manner. Well, then you could have an assistant, a hygienist who's just an over-the-top, super cool, nice personality, right? That can make up for your kind of a dull, boring dentist or a dull, boring, orthopedic surgeon. Right. Well, you can make up with your weakness by having an over-the-top gregarious assistant or hygienist or nurse that would really help lighten the place up, right?
So this is something that just came to mind as you were talking about, like a dentist who's a technical, they're good at technical sales. So they're great with a client when they got their hands in your mouth. Okay. But they know they're seeking a marketing company. And so let's say you're the marketer trying to sell to them. There's going to have to be a series of educational, like when you talk to them, you're going to have to talk to them from, this is again, knowing who your customer is. You're going to have to talk to them from a technical level so they can have an understanding of why your marketing is different from your competitors, but from a technical level. These are the things we do because they're a technical salesperson now. So they sell based around, in their mind, I would say more of a math mind, because they follow specific formats. And so as a salesperson trying to make a sale to them, you're not just going to be able to come in and think they're going to know what you're talking about. And this is it. When people are weak in an area, a lot of times they'll call companies and they're like, well, why didn't you go with us? And they're like, because I didn't understand how you could actually help me. And it's all boils down to, because sometimes you know so much about what you do and you think your reputation precedes you. And when you're dealing with somebody who's weak in an area, try to go really deep in with them and figure out, well, what do you want to know about the marketing aspects? And,
well, yeah, the path you're going down is I would say you can take this and apply the SWOT analysis to your own marketing capabilities, right? And so in most mistakes we see, weakness in marketing of your own business is that you're talking more technical or your expertise or your experience so that would be your weakness when your client, your prospect only cares about you solving their problem. Remember, we talk about that all the time, would be, how do you solve my problem? What problem do you solve? How do you make my life better or easier or more convenient, right? So you can look at your marketing as a whole or your sales channel as a whole and say, it's not doing as well as I wanted it to do. We could do a SWOT analysis on that. What's working, what isn't working? A lot of the weaknesses, we're talking way too much about ourselves and not enough about the problem we solve for Dave or how we're going to make Dave's life easier. So it's neat that you can actually take the SWOT and just apply it to a particular part of your business, right?
Yeah, what couldn't you apply it to, really, when you really think about it? You can use it to grow in any area in your accounting department. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities in your accounting department? Well, we're looking at a new software, and okay, so what are the threats to that? Okay, let's go back to 2020 COVID. You know how many companies went from everybody being in one building where they controlled the servers, they controlled all the data was in-house and they controlled everything. And then now we're a virtual world and it's like, oh my gosh, what's the biggest threat? Well, there's a lot of threats. Ask these companies who are in the cryptocurrency if there's any threats from being in a virtual world. So these are you look at your strengths and opportunities and the weaknesses and the threats and fill in all of the areas that you'll never have total certainty. That's the other thing.
Just this continual process, right? Like what ends up happening, you do a little SWOT analysis and you figure some things out on your business, your life. We talked about that. And then create a little action plan. Hey, what are some, 3 or 4 action items we can do to address this? And then really procrastination is death, right? So part of what we're trying to get you to do is if you write this stuff out on a little piece of paper, it irritates you and you'll get something done, right? Because procrastination is death. Doing nothing about these issues doesn't make them go away, ignoring them. But it's really what I really wanted to get at too. This is like having your own crystal ball, right? If you want to know what the outcome of the outlook for your business looks like, this is what SWOT analysis is for. If you want to know the outlook of your own personal life, right? You can use this on relationships, on your health. Well, gosh, I want to lose, 20 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever it is. Let's do a SWOT analysis. What are my strengths? I like to be active, but I don't like to do, weaknesses. Or I don't like to do weights or whatever, right? I don't like to run. Well, you could walk, right? What are the threats? Well, if I don't get better, my blood pressure gets high or yada, yada, yada. What are the opportunities? Well, the opportunities are I could get up a little earlier or have dinner a little later. And then you could put together your own little plan, your own little outline that says, all right, kind of like a New Year's resolution. You know, I'm gonna exercise 30 minutes a day. Is that walking? Is that playing, you know, tag with the dogs, you know, going and playing outside with the dogs? Is it getting on the treadmill? Is it going to Orange Theory, right? Some people need somebody else to kind of, you know, hang out with or motivate. That's the whole Peloton. By the way, that's the whole Peloton. Look at Peloton, a SWOT analysis on Peloton, right? So Peloton is typing into their strengths. It's the home service, right? Mm-hmm. But their other strength is it's actually, I think they're both live and recorded classes. So there's a communal aspect of Peloton that the old, you know, having just the stationary bike in your basement may not have been as exciting as having a live, you know, class on your iPad. Now you are participating as if I was in the workout facility. So
doesn't it have its own built-in like computer?
Got its own little built-in TV, right? But it was funny, their threats, if you just notice, they just lowered their price. They were always selling, you know, maybe it was $500, $600 a month, and they lowered their price to like $300, $400 a month because they saw as a threat that, gosh, we might have priced ourselves a little too high. And now they penetrated as much as they can for the high end. Now we need to go for a little bit lower. So we're lowering the price point. I think it's $400 a month. Don't quote me on it, but they have definitely lowered their monthly because that was a threat to them, was that there are some other people coming in. I don't know if like NordicTrack has one and somebody else has these stationary bikes that have live classes and TVs or recorded, and they see that as a threat. So we need to lower our price to be a little more price competitive, but I'm sure they're doing some other stuff. But just,
well, it's been they undoubtedly did a SWOT analysis and said, look, our business model. And by the way, as a copywriter, I look at companies like Peloton, P90X, and companies like that. They're more than just a bike sale. You know, they're more than just an online platform. Actually, they're a great marketing company, and you'll notice these great marketing companies. They start out with these really high prices, and they get these herds of people to come in. But then those herds of people start telling their friends, and you know, and there's this thing that goes out through the market. And then the fringe people who won't buy, they literally go in and survey those people and figure out, okay, so they're looking at the weaknesses. Why are those people not buying? And they're like, I ain't gonna pay $300 a month for a bike to sit in my house that I'll never use. That's probably what they're thinking anyway. Oh, for $100, I'll buy a bike that I'll never use. But you know, you know, and that's how they make their sales. Most of those things never get used. Have you ever been on the airplane where you see that bike where you can do all the exercise in 3 minutes? It's like $15,000 bike. I don't know how, I've never seen anybody who ever had one of those. But it literally, it's in all the airplane magazines. I haven't been on an airplane in a couple of years, but anyway, but that's the point, is they did their own SWOT analysis and they really look at their weaknesses. It's rare that a company like Peloton or somebody like that would look at their weaknesses and say it's price. Most marketers, most companies, our advice to you is never go down on price. Right. But the other aspect of it is when you're growing, like you're trying to cross in market share, sometimes that is the thing you have to do. But these are giant companies when they face those things. There's a difference in there. But if you're going to go down a price on the main thing, what are they going to do? Okay, what's our strengths? Well, our strengths are, we have an online platform, a monthly whatever you call it, monthly subscription to these exercise things. So if we get them the bike, we want the monthly subscriptions. We want to sell them the weight, the protein powders and all the other stuff. But the only way to get them this, which is our strength, is to get them in this bike. And so if we, don't make as much money on the bike, then we'll make it over here. So they know their strengths. So that is what they're doing. That's what they're doing. That's not to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, they make some money on the subscription service, and now they're starting to use the weights and supplement. We talked about with P90X and those guys, whatever that's called. They make more money on the protein shakes and the protein powders than they do on the actual P90X workout facility stuff.
I read that P90X. Talk about strengths. Okay, same thing. Strengths. Their strength is making money on the protein powder and all that. Their acquisition cost per customer is about $210. They sell the product, the product for all the things, for $297. So they don't make much on the front end. It's all back end, but they make a lot on the back end.
Well, they've changed their model now. They've actually got an online streaming platform for $10 a month. So now they're getting to the point where, but by the way, $10 a month times 12 months is $120. If you stay on for 3 years, there's your $360.
And it's
right?
a digital product, and it cost them, okay, let's just say it cost them 100,000 on the front end, and they're doing $500 million a year on the back end. I mean, it's the markup is massive.
They know their strength is to make money on the secondary products they sell, like the razors, right? I want to sell you the razors cheap so I can sell you the razor blades for more money, right? That's where we get all these. That's the whole Gillette philosophy. That's also the make more money in that's we talk about our lifetime value of the client. But anyway, this was kind of a neat. So it sounds like a high-tech thing, a SWOT analysis, strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. But really, it's something we all should be doing, especially this time of year that we talk about this type. Evaluate how has your year been, what's working, what isn't working. And I like your analogy to that. Let's look at our strengths and our opportunities. Those are the good stuff. That's the stuff that's working, and the weaknesses and the threats over here. And then we start talking about figure out what your strengths are and spend more of your time in those events, right? Figure out your weaknesses and delegate those or hire those out or come up with a solution where you don't have to solve the weakness, right? And then look at those threats and what's threatening your business and how do we turn those into opportunities? I'm not good at follow-up. I'm not good at, people are coming into my market. I need better customer service. And use that as opportunities. And then finally we say, what are these opportunities, and pick the top 2 or 3 that are really going to help your business the most next year. And that turns into your action items of what we're going to do from the SWOT analysis. I'm going to spend 90% of my time in the strengths, and I'm going to spend, I'm going to solve these top 3 opportunities, and I'm going to delegate out, my top 3 weaknesses, right? So you can use this high tech. This is stuff they teach you in MBA school, but it's really a simplistic process. What's working, what isn't working, and how do we improve it? You just got to take the time to do it. But the point is, it's like a crystal ball. You know where your business is going if you really take a look at it, do a little self-evaluation, right?
Absolutely. And if you don't do it, well, you're lying to yourself, because you're like trying to hide these things that are not going well. And
well, you even said, so we talked about you've got a new real estate coach, and strengths, weaknesses. You've been in real estate a long time. That's your strengths. You know what you're doing. Weaknesses, you don't know this particular avenue of this. What is securitization? What was it called? That it was a syndication. Right. That's your weakness. You don't know it, but you kind of understand it. So the threat would be, gosh, it'll take me forever to do the onesie twosies. I want to go bigger. So the opportunity for me to go bigger. And why don't I hire a coach to help me solve my weaknesses and help me capture my opportunities, right? That would be I did the same thing on my other business. I hired a new coach, right? So what are my strengths? I'm really good once I get in front of people. Weaknesses is we're all about systems and processes, but I'm better at taking a system and process and copying it and modifying it for my use. I'm much better at that than I am for coming up with something on my own. I'm better at just copying and just modifying, right? And what are the threats? Better customer service. Bad customer service is a threat to all of us, right? Competition is a threat to all of us. So the more customer service you can provide, the more value you can add on to your existing products. We talked about that. Instead of lowering your price, add more value. The more opportunity you have to keep the client longer term, to get more of their wallet share, to get them to have repeat transactions. So just in my life and your life, we've used a SWOT analysis, whether we call it that or not, in our evaluation of choosing our own coaches and growing our own businesses, our own personal economic section, right?
Absolutely. And I'll segue into that. Look, if you're having trouble in your business, get a coach. I mean, get somebody who understands the process. I mean, we can help any business owner find $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 in their business without increasing your underlying cost to get that business. That's really what it boils down to. That the reality is, a coach they've gone through the minefield. If you hire a coach, you want to hire somebody who's been through the minefield before you. Don't just
before. They can help you get there quicker, faster, easier. They can help you avoid all the roadblocks, right? So that's what we do in our coaching, our mastermind group, is you're getting around like-minded people. You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. I say that all the time. Apparently not everybody's heard that yet. So you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. You want to hang out with 5 successful business owners to help you become a successful business owner, to help you become a more successful business owner. That's what our group coaching, our mastermind is all about, is hanging out with smarter people or people that have been there and done that, right? 3 things to be successful. You need commitment, you need a roadmap, and a support group. Dave and I've got 2 out of the 3. We got the roadmap and the support group. We need your commitment to take it to the next level. That's what you want to do. Take a look at your own SWOT analysis, use it for your own crystal ball. And then when you need help, you come to people like us, right?
Yeah.
As you said, our irresistible offer. You can find any business owner, $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 out spending $1 more in advertising or marketing. That's a profit acceleration session. The idea is there are opportunities in your business. There are threats in your business. This is what we go through in that profit acceleration session, that there are opportunities you can capture that go right to your bottom line, right? Reach out to Matt at profitabilitymd.com, Dave at profitabilitymd.com. We got our YouTube channel, Profitability MD. We got this website, profitabilitymd.com, and of course the podcast, wherever you find your podcast. This is good stuff, man. Have a great Thanksgiving. Do some SWOT analysis over the 3-day, 4-day holiday weekend, and come back strong as we come into December. This is kind of the self-evaluation stuff.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving, Matt. We'll see you.
Take care.
See you.